with time frames that can be implemented. No talk show outcome of the resolution in the implementation of the February resolution, and this is how far we have to the cabinet to say yes, move on and move faster. We might not be able to dictate on who should do what, not about in any individual department. This is a sketch that is bedeviling, should at least be made softer than they are in trying to make sure that we resolve this problem. So I want to appeal to say, as I celebrate and congratulate this, I really want to appeal to say, move forward, you are capable. You are capable for the fact. Move forward, a little bit of agility. Let's see a lot of a turning around of things. This message that we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. We can't be technocrats that have gone through what we have went through. Exception because sometimes, or majority of time, we don't communicate. I was happy to get to hear, CISO, that the communication loaded to an extent that our people are aware of what we're doing, it is, and we are hard at work in making sure that to an extent you have gone beyond the known and accepted way of doing things, government only. You are now including, get your money and you are fine. When the majority of these, you can't be a normal person seated somewhere. There are 370 on a monthly basis. To go and spend their 370, rightly or wrong, medium or huge, everybody must start to pay on what we are experiencing as a country and the industries. The kind of a society is making them richer or more comfortable. And the strategy that has just been there, if you are a champion and you build malls as it is the situation now in South Africa, people to go and spend money in your malls, and how do you plow back into that society that makes you? So I'm saying I'm very excited. I wish you can go and explain, but sometimes a little bit of blackmailing them. Blackmail them. I mean, if you are in the league, if you do, what are you doing about it? So we should have to say, come to the party, old usual. All of us in one way or the other. Don't wait for us to die. Violence. Don't wait for us to die because of the social ills. Can't we contribute kind of rent that we are getting? So I'm saying, Chair, as we are embarking on this, we are very fortunate that we have a majority of people that are here are women are supposed to be, because if there's hunger, see it. If there's gender-based violence, a woman that will go through that. So if DST is led by a majority of women, what should happen and when? And let's deal with those that say, I'm not going to do anything about it. Because you can't be rich in a society that has these social ills and you. If it was before 1994, we'll give you a particular name. If you're not doing anything about the social ills, but you are getting rich, while they are getting rich, whilst they are investing their money in the international community, but not doing anything about before now, due to the fiscal constraints. Of course, growth rates, government alone cannot accept sole responsibility for redressing South Africa comes from. Who does not know where South Africa would like to go, know how our people feel like insofar as their individual development is concerned. And if you all will seek to make sure that we resolve some of these problems, but we must fiscal constraints, because I don't want to sit in a corner and we can still do something as we have already initiated. Although but the promotion of national social development is a collective responsibility, and we all continue. As I have already mentioned, that I really would want us to move faster, and if that is the case, the SALGA should be part and parcel of this. The demarcations of this country. So if that is the case, we do have budgets that can assist us in this regard on the whole, in making sure that there are sustainable jobs. How about walking in the streets of South Africa, unemployed? So if that is the case, what role are they going to play? Make sure that they contribute in this task to make sure that we change things around. So I'm saying here, we need in the scope to make sure that many people come and participate, but within a very short. There are fruits that we must benefit, and that we must communicate and send this message that, as I said earlier on, for us to sit here and speak between ourselves will not be enough. But for a common agenda, as we have already done, share resources, as we have already agreed, we are doing something about it. Be the one of the people who are talking about the successes that we're making, but not to disruptive tendencies. So this is what we would want to see, ladies and gentlemen, and then say there's IMC established, there's program that has been established by that IMC, there's a reporting template. Sure, we'll come up with a small structure, coordinate all of us, and we keep that into that, so that we don't negotiate outside this arrangement, because there is that temptation of wanting to bring each other on an individual basis, which is not really assisting, because it sometimes hardens the attitudes. I know for you guys, you ask all those important questions. Do you have a budget? Is your DG aware of this? Is your minister? And be able to say, as this is got together and developed this is what they need it for their own members, which are going through on a very for the country, but also the clients that they are meeting on a daily basis, or victims that they are meeting with DDG, to bring Department of Labor. They must come responsible to create jobs. What would be their take on this one? Nicely. What is their contribution? And in 90 days, they must be able to tell us. It talks to everyone else. It talks to us, rich and don't have social workers. You will forever have to build those long who is looking for something because he or she is in the street for different reasons. We don't want to judge them, but let's just a strategy of employment of social professionals, service professionals. Just a strategy of employment of social professionals, service professionals is a product of a sector, and making sure that everyone else is in. The international and national donors must provinces that are present here today. We can at some point Just tell us, CFOs, on basis we got to hear a statistic has just been released on the malnutrition that we're going through for it. Because there are resources available through government. Because there are resources available through government and in provinces in particular. So the HODs of social, a briefcase organization that are forever on the, we need to embark into that so that we are, what they are supposed to do is lacking. And because we're very bad, because we are lambasted by everybody, that we don't pay in time. I'm just dropping this, being very opportunistic to say, try what you give to NPOs, not only quantify it. And if Eastern Cape, I'm from Eastern Cape, devastating reports of a malnutrition. The fact that they can fish anytime, they are not being informed by automatically available resources. So we should not only look at the, take that you are honorable by virtue of having this initiative. I therefore wish you, including engagement with other sectors of society.
We are not jealous people. That clap, pointed questions and remarks. Thank you for that. I have no intention for encouraging us, giving us to think, be open-minded, think out of the box. The good thing about your speech was that you asked for a program of action and you gave it to us, which means we are left with only one thing to go home. It is a tea break. Let us break for 15 minutes. Tea is served outside for 15 minutes. When we get back, we'll deal with the next presentation.
March. It is a celebration that has become a high point in the social work calendar, with social workers all over the world celebrating and promoting the contributions of the profession to individuals, families left orphaned were protected. The older persons who suddenly had to look after their grandchildren on behalf to make sure that the families were integrated. And it was you who when the Lily mine collapsed on miners, it was you, the social their loved ones. For gender-based violence and femicide cases, it is always there. It is you. You are the basic agent of change, a client, justice fighting, therapy providing, systems testing, family preserving, intervention teacher, supporter, facilitator, encourager. Social Day. Happy Social Work Day.
I would like to take this opportunity Dolivua Ngamanda to all social workers who continue to serve our people ever so.
ACP's Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Program, primarily because its responsibility is
to address this issue.
There is a provision in the current amendment Children's Act, which basically advocate for the establishment of child protection units.
It is time.
Children. This Saturday, June 8th at 6 p.m. only on DSD TV.
Department of Social Development has got a responsibility to make sure that it offers the
South Africa is doing very well when it comes to its children.
the JCP's Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Program, primarily not necessarily national security.
Can you provide some measures being taken to address this issue?
There is a provision in the current amended Children's Act, which basically advocate for the establishment of child protection units.
It is time that South Africa practices the power.
Technology in the protection of children. This Saturday, June 8th at 6 p.m. only on DSD.
Has got a responsibility to make sure that it vulnerable people in South Africa.
There is a genuine recognition that South Africa is doing very well when it comes to the majority.
Prevention and Security Program, primarily because its responsibility is around criminal justice, not necessarily national.
The current amended Children's Act, which basically advocate for the establishment.
Episode on the importance of technology in the protection of children. This Saturday, June 8th. Only on DSD TV.
Department of Social Development has got a responsibility to make sure that it offers a safety net to the vulnerable people.
To the majority of its children.
The JCP's Justice, Crime is around criminal justice, not necessarily national security.
Can you provide some insights about measures?
Children's Act, which basically advocate for the establishment of child protection units.
It is time that
At 6 p.m. only on DSD TV.
Department of Social Development that it offers a safety net to the vulnerable people in South Africa.
There is a genuine
Every day, Monday to Friday.
I just knew it was the right place for me.
They are the advocates of those that are poor, hence government needs and
On non-profit organizations, only on DSD TV.
It's growing up among
It's children that move from one place to another, specifically those that are cross.
When I was in Angola, I came from Angola.
Yes, I'm here.
I'm so happy that we came back with the child. Then we will render some
face. South Africa has gotten into producing
childhood with your empty words. She wants. Children are suffering.
Wow, thank you so much. And Kayla for being such an amazing host.
Catch this episode on child participation. Only
assault cases reported in the same
feels
period.
Like we're not safe anywhere as long as you're a woman in South Africa.
Won't sell themselves.
I said, but I don't. If you guys don't want to do the job for these people, you can come in the body, because it's like you are punishing yourself more than I did to you.
Catch this episode on gender-based violence and femicide on DSD TV.
It was towards the end of the month. Bills had been and then abazali are forced to make a plan. And so the plan is as follows: that do the interview, get on a bus, go back to the Eastern Cape. So no sleepover, called cut. The bus breaks down.
Longer than ever before.
Nasezikolweni konto sinokuyenza noba kubuhlungu sasisamkela loo nto kuthiwa masiyenze.
We are ranging from age 60 up to 69 each and every week. We're doing TV.
Every year, it is a celebration that has become a high point in the social work calendar, with social workers all over the world celebrating. And when South Africa was struggling with the HIV/AIDS, were protected. The older persons who suddenly had to leave all nations church building in Nigeria collapsed on South Africans, who cushioned them from the devastating effect of losing their loved one. Social worker, who is the backbone of the families, and the children cases, it is the social worker. Even when the world was grappling, you were always there. It is you. It has been you. You are the basic agent preserving, child defending, rights protecting, crisis intervention team. And today, we celebrate you on this special day. Happy.
Next part of our program, the part where our their policies and their actual needs that will inform the the sector departments remain the same. First, the case study from SAPS, South African Police Services. I want minutes. The reflections that are in the program at the current department. So I want to encourage you to note your comments, inputs, and less sessions. So can I call upon Brigadier for Social Work Service from Correctional Services? Sir, the floor is yours.
And this is for going.
Parliament's colleagues, good morning. They are very jealous of their department. So just to make that, Vokwana, I must appreciate your capacity, ma'am. At one stage, you have put your OD, your HR recruitment. It takes a passion as well. Colleagues, I will be giving a case study on the status of social work in relations to the constitutional mandate of the South African. That I give a context in terms of where social work fits in within the South African Police Service, ratio that social workers are expected to service in the SAPS, the role of social workers within the SAPS, challenges and proposed. Currently, we have a total of 1,341 people with social work qualified to limited opportunities. 1,038 are working elsewhere as operational members, constable with LLBs who are in the training colleges, and a lot of social workers who are wearing uniform on this prevention, which is an element of fighting drivers of crime in communities. They meant our victim-friendly rooms in the South African Police Services. We have forensic social workers, 61, which is highly specialized. You have social work services, that is we employed 195, currently we have 195, and we have a vacancy rate, 77 workers and other professions, like your healthcare professionals, and a vacancy rate. And I've intentionally put that 8 there because that is the reality on the ground ourselves as employee health and wellness coordinators. The 195 that I gave include managers and supervisors. These are people who are not 1,461 men and women in blue. They also provide services to 9 provinces and 14 divisions. We just, our one social worker service just under 1,000 members and their family members as well. Colleagues, we in terms of the ratio, one social worker servicing just under 1,000 police officers, including their family members. Okay, and here as well. Okay. Employee health and wellness, social work services, quality of work life. The role of quality of work life deals with issues of disability members, STIs and TB management, also providing awareness and support. The unit, we provide psychosocial awareness to the police officers. We deal with issues of gender-based violence, and because of sometimes of the workplace exposures mechanisms, and they take that stressors to their home environment and home relationships. I think because of the nature of our work, our members are armed, and it's important related issues. So when you are a commander and you deal with issues of discipline, that members functioning, that is why it's important that you constantly provide psychosocial support. Incidents, when we talk about the shootings on the media, these members are expected to be bereaved within a certain like absenteeism, and then you end up not at work because of indebtedness or other psychosocial problems. That is why it is important. Issues of pre-retirement, colleague sensitivity, management, research, development of programs for our police officers. Next, in which the social workers in the SAPS functions, because SAPS takes its mandate from Section 205 of the Constitution, which is to prevent, combat strategy of the SAPS and the allocation of its resources. You will agree with me that they are all in pursuit of its strategic mandate, colleagues. As I said, environments differ. I worked for social development before, and you realize that in social When I was in social development years back, we had your subsidy cars, you had a lab. Resources are channeled towards fighting crime. When our principals account of crime. So this affects the discussion. While still giving the versus support, the green there, that is where you find our social workers that within the human resource management. Most of our operations there, you've got your operations response services. I've noted that I forgot your presidential protection services. Perhaps with the minister. So I left them out. So we are just part. I always, you must take instruction, you don't give instruction. So it's always better when instructions come from the top, they are able to be expedited. For recruitment, they take a note of a need for social workers, but also says when you employ social workers. The minister spoke about the fact that the budget must not be taken because I can guarantee, because I also do lose posts, you end up losing posts in provinces because provincial commissioners are more in tune to fighting crime. I mean, last time in North, the Lieutenant General, the Lieutenant Colonel, because it was taken to operation. So those in our previous meeting, I think it's something that we must take into our discussions and issues of specialities as well. Colleagues, occupational social work is a speciality, so that will be relevant to. I've written there the oversupply of social workers, which I don't agree with. I think it's a lack of planning. You cannot have an oversupply of social workers in a crime where you have people who are under the influence of Nyaup. You've got people that you call amapara. The issues of gender-based violence in families. I don't think we have oversupply of social workers. I think we lack planning in as far as the utilization of social workers are concerned. And I'm hoping that these discussions or this forum will assist in rightful planning of health social work professions in the country, colleagues. Thank you. That's all.
Brigadier Matlala, thank you very much. Guilty as charged. I hope you let me out on a warning for misrepresenting you. But what we take out from your presentation, I think, and I want to flag it, that's something that we would need to discuss in the groups, is the issue of ring fencing money. Departments normally have a challenge with ring fencing money for core functions versus support functions. But in some departments, you'd have a core function, and I want to call it another core function like social work, and then you would have your support function. We need to find a model and a way and discuss and get guidance as to how we can have a model for those departments that deal with it. So we address the issue of ring fencing once and for all. So put on my glasses, the next presentation would be from the Department of Defense, Dr. Andre Pretorius, Social Work, Military Health Services. He will give us his case study for SANDF. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Minister. I almost said Minister of Defense. Minister of Social Development. I'm so used to my managers are in defense. But good morning to you, to all the leaders here from the different departments, and the program chair. It's an honor to be here. I'm from the South African National Defence Force. I just want to tell you, I'm not from the army. When people hear you from the military, they say, oh, you're from the army. I'm not from the army. Our army is one of the services in the South African National Defence Force. It's together with the South African Military Health Services. It's one of the services, plus the Air Force and the Navy. And then we've got a lot of divisions as well. That's your HR and your lock division. So I just want to say, and I just tongue-in-cheek to the police, I'm a brigadier general, but they call me general. So we are a little bit higher than the police. I will just quickly, very brief, talk about the employment and how we look in the military social work environment. Where do I show this? That. Our current status, the employment of military social work, and obviously, what is military social work? Okay. We are 168 military social workers. It consists out of a director. The director is not vacant. I'm standing here. So it's not vacant. The previous director was, if you can recall her, General Dr. Pietzi. That was our previous director. So I am standing in her shoes. And I must say, it's very big shoes I have to fill. I phoned her last night and I said to her, you know, now I must come and stand as a director, and I'm used to sit in the audience and you were standing here. And now I must come and do your job. But anyway, we've got senior managers, we've got area managers. These are all distributed within the provinces. We've got military hospitals as well as institutes. We've got institute for vets, veterinary services, for aviation, military. We've got maritime obviously in Simonstown. So there are a couple of, and we've got the psychological institute as well. We've got social workers there, area managers, supervisors, and then production social workers. At this stage, 95 and 3 civilian, with a grand total of everything as 142. I just want to say our clientele currently is 203,000 people in the Defence Force. You can make your calculations to see the ratio. Yes, we employ qualified professional military and civilian social workers. We don't employ other SSPs. We don't employ community workers, and we employ social workers. Our selection criteria is a bit steep. We've got a selection criteria. Not everybody fits into the environment of the military. What we usually do is we collaborate with universities, and people come and do their 4th year training practicals with us. And then, so that they can get a taste of what it is to be in the military. Because to be a military social worker can be a little bit chaotic. Things happen. I just want to say what happened outside in the community also happened in the military. Because the same people are part of the community outside as well. We give the people occupational social work training. That's quite an intensive training that we do. Our next training is starting in October, and we call it the basic military social work training, so that especially the new people that's been employed in the Defence Force as a social worker, so that they know what to expect and how to function in quite a stressful environment. I think in the past months, I don't have to tell you anything what happened in the DRC, what happened all over in the military life. Social work are often the first line of call. If you recall, I think it was in July There was the Amapanyaza group in De Notter. Somebody went with their car into the group on the parade ground. Fortunately, social work got yesterday our accolades and our thanks and appreciation from our seniors, because we were the first responders to and had to deal with the situation there. So yes, that is our occupational social work training. What we're also currently planning, I was also this week involved with that, we're doing a supervision training. You will see there are only 12 supervisors currently, which is too little. We cannot deal with only 12 supervisors. We are training people in supervision. That course is taking place in February next year, and there are 20 people in the social workers, military social workers, earmarked to be supervisors to undergo that training. The last point there is restructuring. We are currently busy to expand our structure. We've already done it in social work. The whole defense force is busy with a restructuring process. So we've already submitted our needs according to what we see, because I myself am from the Eastern Cape. I worked in, there was a military base in Kobokobo, there was Bulembo, those areas closed down, but those areas are opening again. Bulembu, they are opening again. The East London, Ekomani, that areas are opening again. So we need again social workers. I was there and I was transferred from that area to Potchefstroom. That was a culture shock. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So we are currently busy with a restructuring process because we cannot function with 168 social workers serving a population of 203 at this stage, 1,000. This is military social work. People always ask me, what do you do? It's a combination of occupational social work, generic social work, and medical social work. We've got a practice model that we've developed. We've just updated it the other day with all encompassing what military social work is. And this is what we also teach the people on the basic military social work course that's going to take place now in October. Thank you very much.
I thought the tea would give us more energy, the tea and the snacks. Let's appreciate the presentation from Dr. Andre Pretorius. He says he has to fill a big shoes. We're sure he has big feet. So I'm sure he will keep the flag flying in terms of SSPs. Our next presenter would be Mr. Emmanuel Namatanani. He's a social work manager from the Office of the Family Advocate as part of the Department of Justice. Emmanuel, I may add that Emmanuel was also a former employee of social development, and we'll see it through the presentations. Emmanuel.
That's not me. Good day, the Masiar and the Machelon, everyone. Yeah, I want to declare up front, he has been struggling to pronounce my sign name since then. I am Mr. Nema Taheni. Yeah, so can I get my presentation, please? Can I get my presentation slides? And while we are sorting the presentation, protocol observed fully. My fear is what happened at some stage when one did not acknowledge the one who bought or contributed to the coffin and was busy saying thank you to the pastor, to the other people, and jump the one that purchased the coffin, and the funeral has to be called off. So protocol observed, everyone in, throw your input, we really appreciate. I speak with mixed feeling, colleagues, in the other hat that I used to wear, I've been fighting for social workers' voice to be heard. And today I won't speak like a comrade. I'll speak like a social work from Office of the Chief Family Advocate. But if that comradeship comes up, it will have come up unintentionally so. Because deep inside, I am a social worker. And I remain a social worker for the people that we service. And it is very critical, and that's why I'm saying today here, I speak with mixed feeling, because at least the idea is coming to life. We should continue to move away from much of developing policies but not implementing policies. Colleagues, our office goes way back to 1990. Very painful is that then we were only servicing almost four high courts then. And in the process, you will see as I proceed, in the new development of the Children's Act, with the same staff establishment, where we, even now, that we are still using the very same and the function that we do, it's a very sensitive function. It hits home. What is it that it matters when it hits home? It matters when your sister, if the Office of the Family Advocate had moved with, this is what we are faced with. And the introduction of the Children's Act now, and when that happened, care and contact management remains stagnant where it is. That we have 27 offices in the country. Are the people that are in the urban area? Are the people apart from what we do, we have ratified in supposed to execute. This time sometimes creates a serious problem when we are dealing with action-related. Love, it starts with love. But how it ends, it's not ending well. And sometimes we are contributing because enough capacity during separation. Our cases takes time. When cases takes time, and when it is time for the case, the child goes to the capacity that we have it becomes a nightmare. Mission to this structure that is sitting here today, that can we be considered, we want to be part, we benefit, we share whatever that we can share, whether it's best practice. And Chairperson, something very, very fun. To military is also related, so I'm declaring it's not copy and paste. Oh, okay. I think my mates disappeared. The total number there, 145, you can see the spread there. It's not working. And what we have tried for the past 2 years was to look into the social that received bursaries. Minister, you touched something on bursary related. In the process, they are assisting us to so we will take them for 2 years. Unfortunately, we don't have farm to say you can be this, and within 2 years, it's gone. We are of the view to speed up the finalization rate of cases. And I said to myself that we won't speak Latin. I won't speak Latin at all today, because that's what lawyers do. We'll run away from that Latin today. And we speak a simple English. That simple English is we want more capacity if we want to save our sisters, our brothers out there. And I'm repeating, the day that you see a coffin of your sister going down because of separation, you will feel that that is real. But it will be too late to reverse that. I am calling upon that this structure should not end only in presenting these modules. It won't assist us. Can we act and act and act? It becomes very painful when you hear end of financial year, department so and so returned so much back. And we are saying, we want money, give us money. And money get returned. When that money get returned, our people down on the ground are suffering. And I am saying that, Chairperson, you must calm me down. I think the other thing is starting to come up now. The revolution in me is starting to come up because the pain and suffering of our people, it's real. The pain and suffering of our people is real. When divorce gets delayed, what happened to that child? That child grows to be a man who sometimes, and to all men that are here, if you have left a footprint somewhere, please go and maintain. I was not expecting to see a smile. I am repeating from justice now that if you have a footprint somewhere, you have a child somewhere, and you are not maintaining, go and maintain. Because when you don't maintain that child, the cycle continues to add backlog to us, because we are breeding a man who does not care. And when that man does not care, that man during separation is a problem again. Colleagues, Minister, protocol, we are saying we really support this initiative We trust us get more resources and better South Africa. The legislation reform has created more demand for the office of the family advocate. And we cannot blame the people. I think it is high time that we start to look within ourselves, and I'm happy that most of us that are here are able to unleash resources, press button, make things happen, and let's go make sure that things happen. We are saying from our side, we still need more than 50%. If you give us more than 50%, we'll really appreciate, because we'll make a difference in the life of our people. It is also our submission to the structure that guide us lobbying for funds. We are available. Guide search on how best to have a hub for social service practitioners when you are looking qualified people. And the danger, my former, yes, I have a lot of intelligent, because they're from school. So I'm saying, I'm leaving you with this way. If we are here and we are hindering this, sleep. Can it haunt you in your sleep that somebody out there you not to sleep until it happens? I want you to sing. I won't say it, but in Latin it says, let this idea of white sector
the social worker came out more in you rather than the other side. I think this speaker, Emmanuel, amplifies the call made by the minister for us to act now, to support one another in terms of how do we. And our next speakers, I see there's privilege to correctional services. They have two speakers, Ms. Anna Molepo and Cynthia Ramolifo. Please give us their case study in terms of correctional services. You have 15 minutes, Madam.
Honorable Minister of Social Development, and also all the institutions that are here. And as indicated, my name is Molepo. I'm the Chief Deputy Commissioner from Correctional. Minister, I'm not alone here. I'm also with the Chief for remand detention management. She will also be coming to request that you stand up so that they can see you. I am also with the Deputy Commissioner, that is the Chief Director responsible for personal well-being. Department of Correctional Services Personal Well-being is the Chief Directorate that is responsible for psychology. Dr. Plakis, thank you. Thank you very much. From Correctional Services, and let me take an opportunity before I can to come here and contribute towards the development of the strategy, because as the Department of Correctional Services, our social workers are key to our mandate, and one of our mandate is rehabilitation. So we cannot rehabilitate. So always when they call, we make sure that we are available, because that is very critical to us. Thank you very much. The outline of the presentation will be the purpose. Hey, you know, I'm not used to this technology. It's so interesting that I'm opening my laptop here and there's another presentation there. So I thought when I press it somewhere. It will be the purpose of the presentation, the legal mandates that guides the provision of services, vision, mission, and values, the program budget structure, background and discussion, and I will then discuss the programs and priority work for the post-establishment of social workers, the resource requirements, mitigation. So in terms of the purpose, departmental, the DCS strategy on the employment of social workers employed within the department, as I've already indicated that those are the key. Regarding mandate, we know the key is the constitution. We also have our legislations that are relevant to us. The vision, mission, and values. I'm sharing the program budget structure so that we can understand. We have security operations. We also have remand detention that falls under program 2. Then we have program 3, which is rehabilitation. And under program 3, non-therapeutic, they are not being offered by social workers because they are non-therapeutic. So those program management that is being rendered by correctional awareness raising level, so that by the time that offender goes to, the offender would be understanding what is anger management. I'm just making an example with anger management. Development, we do have formal education, so we are rendering farming for our self-sufficiency and sustainability. We also have services. Then under program 4 is care, that is the health and hygiene services. And it has got sub-program called supervision. So supervision is not the supervision that we know here. Then we have community reintegration. We also have program 5, are core to the department. In the manner prescribed by the Act, we are detaining all inmates in safe custody. It's 3. It's incarceration, it's rehabilitation, it's social reintegration. Effectively reintegrated back in. So we are region. So with us, Minister, so we have 9 provinces, but within the department we call them, we have 6 regions, we call it 1 region. Then we have Western Cape, Gauteng Province, and LMN. LMN is Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Northwest. Remand detainees, so we have 21 remand detained, and Northern Cape only have 1 dedicated. So it's 1 dedicated, but in other centers, we have units that accommodates our remand. Are 21 nationally. But in each region, then you'll have those units in each center where they are remand. We also have, out of these 243, we also have maximum center. Youth and juvenile centers. We have mother centers. We also have 2 maximum, as we know. Then we have community corrections. As I've indicated, community corrections is responsible for monitoring the parolees, probationers, and also awaiting trial detainees. Then we have those Free State, Northern Cape, 37. So in each region we have number of community corrections offices. The office is far, then in that region, twice a week, depending on the number of offenders, number of parolees in that, mainly being used to ensure access that our officials. In terms of inmate population within our center, for the sentenced offenders, we have 98,000, and remand detainees, we have 54,000 correctional centers. Then we have 52,646, that is 206 and 706. Coming to the on that they fall under program 3, rehabilitation. So there are those social workment. So it is under program 3 and also social services to offenders, parolees and probation. Being skills for successful reintegration into community as law-abiding citizens. As you know that remand detainees are innocent and life skills programs. As I've indicated, MEDA, now you must attend anger management program detainees. We also provide access to the needs-based rehabilitation. In terms of needs-based rehabilitation programs, when we say needs-based, is because what we do is that when sexual offense, then in this correctional sentence plan, it will be indicated that program. So it should be in line with the crime that the offender committed. So those are we appointed them on contract, utilizing the CARA fund, Minister says, and because the purpose of CARA is mainly for the victims, hence the restorative justice programs that is being implemented within the department. So the victim offender dialogue and mediation. So our social auxiliary workers, currently they're being utilized for that. So the number of sentenced offenders and remand detainees. So I'm just going to 7 are filled and 1 is vacant. But maybe before I can structure, that is this structure that you are currently implementing is the one. I know there are no vacancies within the Department of Correctional. We have 602 field social work field positions, 52 vacant, and 604 years. When you compare our numbers with the total inmate population number with the cases, because we have 200,000 and we only have 602. In terms of resource requirements for social workers, totals I've indicated that we also have social workers who are working in community corrections. We also do community outreach. So we are organizing the imbizos. We also offenders, the parolees are also supposed to position to engage community structures. So hence we also need the community development. Auxiliary social workers, I've indicated that we need them so that they can not only work with victims, because we are getting funds from CARA, and CARA, the focus of CARA is there. So we can't utilize our social auxiliary workers for other functions. Challenges. In terms of the ratio of social workers versus the client population, of social workers, as I've indicated that our social workers, because the ratio and the number, the total, all the work. And remember with social workers, system. So with lifers, there is no lifer that will be released on parole before he or she can be seen by his. Hence, our social workers are overwhelmed because those lifers, they must get social work report, and it's not only lifers do the reports and also other offenders. So it is the ratio and also the number of social workers, so that our structure is not fully aligned with DPSA social work OSD, and it is also not aligned with our inmate population. Indicated that we are currently working on the structure. So as soon as the structure is finalized, then we will be having the number of social workers needed. There's also a shortage of post managers. So this will also be addressed in our strategy. So in terms of mitigation, social workers will also be conducted to establish also establishment of the post of community development workers for centers, that is correctional centers and community corrections, to ensure that we comply with regulations. Minister, we recommend that this presentation should be noted in terms of the strategies on the employment of social service professionals in correctional facilities and community corrections. We need to have adequate resources to ensure that our social service professions should not be overwhelmed with the workload. So if they are overworked, the intended purpose of rehabilitation as the core mandate also of the department and also social reintegration could be jeopardized if it is not well resourced and funded through social service professionals. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you and good day, Honorable the Executive for Social Development Department. Especially I want to just thank Amanda and Mudisi. I've been behind the scene to move in a manner that considers the correctional service. All executives and all that are invited by the department. I'm not coming to talk more on the details of what is in this journey some 2 years ago. Firstly, the thing that I would like to bring to the ability together with the partners. And how will they do that? We are fans to convert the support function of social workers in those cluster, a line function. It's part of the core work that they are doing for the correction, playing the role of support. So now that social worker, from the perspective service to the Department of Health, and also create more to create. In that cluster, bring along the other sister department, national grants. I'm not gonna go through because they only mention one, but there is the grants, maybe through the Department of Health. We are saying this program needs to also tap into those better. Specifically, if we use BMW, you need to able to say we need 4 voluntary state patients that are in vet copies for the period of 5 years. So if you have a breakdown of number of social workers who are qualified, educated, who are not in of employment, and that target, it can be reached from 1 year department. I just wanted to raise that specific one. Also tapping into the development, but on the one side towards the correctional service, we are saying, if you go to Steffontein, you go to a time frame, have them also allocated, feed in back to the cluster criminal procedure police station. In each police station, I don't know how that will be realized, needs to come in. If in the front line, like for the case that is happening, let me just use one case, rape, and it's because of other factors that are affecting the social ills. But that child after the doctor, and the police officers there, they took the child with and keep the child for a few days without having the social workers role playing. If it was already at the police station that is happening, those that are classified today as teenagers, well, they are not teenagers. They are children at the age of 10 years, at the age of 9 years, at the age of 11 years, who of social worker on the spot before the medical or after the medical, but we are not having that capacity. But if we appoint, but if there is provision for funding, we will able to get to address the social ills while we are CARA, but not really CARA. We will want maybe adding an agent that is called the SAFA, which is Social Assistant Fund Agencies, we are saying. So this, it must be under umbrella in your department. You will then be supported by a social worker. Now, the hard one that to be talked about is the 0.5% tax back, and check how can we contribute. If it's 0.1%, that the SARS can make the breakdown and make that. And this is what I've deposited everyone to rally behind the Minister of Social Development on this tax one. We have done with the previous one, used those information in terms of remuneration. This will kill them as outside social workers, because we are dealing with those that are rejected by the community. In trials, you must pay for social issues that have brought you to prison. While you are paying with the pre-awaital trials, issues that of social workers and so on will be so great. So with that, Anna, we are DDGs that we are behind.
DDGs, it's easier to say DDGs than to say Chief Deputy Commissioners. Thank you. But I think we must have for National Treasury. Let's put it there and we'll deal with the challenges. The light bulb moments that I picked up is the issue about the top 100 partnerships, the issue about the brown box, what we call the brown box, where private sector supports in districts and areas. Thank you very much. The last speaker, the last item for this between us and lunch is the would be presented by Ms. Caesar Mangago, DDG for Mahangwe. I practiced, Minister, I practiced the greetings. I just need to practice the saying. Thank you. You're between us and lunch.
Good day, Honorable Minister. Good day, leadership. Cooperate and will remain the core, whether you are leading us or not. So I just want to remind you this afternoon that we are here to stay new, as well as the demands that comes with this, because it's not just amending the laws that we've been contending with. So we have been just a quick background. We are saying as it regulates our SSP. And as a department, we are saying over and above that, that is a draft white paper on social development, which set out, as a sector, we are contending with several social ills that are affecting our communities, families, and individuals, our, current capacity. They are expecting from us, are we able to live up to that? It's a service where we are dealing with children in conflict with the law. It is based on the following, I'll unpack the Child Justice Act. Child Justice Act, for instance, it says to us, or it requires that you can't do anything, court can't do anything. That's how important in terms of the report, the kind of assessment and the report that you shall have written. The case depends on us. If we do not for us to render child youth care centers, as no child must be found in prison, irrespective of what they have done. So we are now child and youth care centers to make sure that children are placed or are sentenced in that care so that we can provide developmental services. We've got over 1,000 police stations in the country. And those police stations, we are servicing your police stations. Ne? We are expecting police officers are basically social workers. It's just that they are, they specialize to provide services within 48 hours when a child is arrested in each and every police station, to make sure that a probation officer is allocated more than one police station to provide diversion services. They are also expected to provide home-based supervision. What is important, child and youth care centers in the country, and we are expected to provide services there. Again, our skills, schools, making sure that everything runs. Also expected to provide services to our waiting trial clients. We're expected to provide services to sentenced residential diversion. So there's from us. I won't list this but to suffice to say, over the last 3 years, we have amended quite a lot of legislations to make, highlight what is our role as Department of Social Development. The first one, before, a victim was never seen in court. The most perpetrators had rights, perpetrators had so many protection, but there was very little about around the victim. And now they are saying every case report, there must be a victim impact report that must accompany the whole proceedings. Without an impact report, a case must not be heard. Because that report. And we must also go to court and present it. It does not only end there. We are not 2021. It also places demand on us as the Department of Social Development. What it says, we know that the Domestic Violence Act talks about order was not helping. In fact, it was even putting women in danger. So therefore, now the Act says you can issue a protection, or you have to do that risk assessment, and no one can apply for victims protection orders. It's no longer a situation about the case. You can go and apply on behalf of that person, whether he agrees or not. Last part, we are also expected to go to work or to be placed in courts and provide psychosocial service. When a perpetrator is considered for bail, a victim must be colleague Anna talking about the lifers that they provide that service. We are also, so that is our role. The other critical victims, because a lot of time perpetrators get away with it. They have being reformed. These are the certificates that I've done. These are the courses that I've done, and focusing on one area. But now with these changes, we are saying it is important that you receive a report. So, this is a new bill. It's en route to cabinet. I won't say that puts the victim at the center of criminal justice. A bill that says the victim must be at the center of this matter. The next sector is substance abuse. Substance abuse, this is the prevalence of substance abuse in the country, and we know that the profile of a person has completely changed, because substance abuse now, it has been recognized as a type of social workers we need, the knowledge that they need, the skills that they must have. No ordinary social worker can deal with this. You are properly trained. The next sector is children's sector. Children's sector, all of us, we know that we have amended new provision. It has made new provisions and priority. The issue of adoption as an example, that we know that adoption was a private service. It was a service for the elite, but now with the state coming into play, we are now providing that are in need of children, and it's one of the demands, because then it means we need to employ more social workers so that they can. The communities will rise up and say, you said you are providing this free service. Where? The second thing about Children's Act is that it has made establishment of child protection units. We know that we used to have a high bed have enough social workers that are in that space. So now the amendment is saying we need to really specialize in those areas so that we are able to provide services and minimize. There's quite a lot that that if we have enough capacity, we will not be able to fulfill our litigated by various chapters, especially chapter 9. So for older persons, we are also saying there's two, we have witnessed over the few years that older persons have become a target. They are even sexually assaulted. And so therefore, we have amended the legislation so that we can provide that protection that is needed by them. And we are also saying in that space, we need quite a lot of us who will be able to take care of our older persons. So we are therefore saying all these new legislations, they are making demands on us. The last slide. I know that there's a perception out there that we don't have, issues of HIV anymore. There are still people who are very reckless when it comes to behavior and all of that. We must still continue to maintain the gains and even do more in that area. So for this sector, we have a national strategic plan on HIV. We're focusing on behavior change. For us, focus is different from health. From health, they're looking at it from a disease point of view. From a behavioral point of view. That's why we invest on social behavior change programs. We do a pre and post counseling who must actually do that. We do a lot of capacity building to make sure that people are capacitated and they've got a lot of things that are keeping them busy. So those are some of the demands that we are expected to do. In conclusion, that is facing our country. We are faced with diversifying social ills. And challenges as well as the disasters. At the same time, we are faced with budgetary constraints. The big question becomes, how do we remain relevant? We collectively ponder over it as we move on with the deliberations over the next 2 days. I thank you.
DDG Welfare Services, Caesar Mahangwe. Colleagues, that brings us to the conclusion. In trying to give you a sense of what the sector looks like in terms of SSPs. It is now I want us to break now and return so that we will deal with the last part, the last segment of ours. The last segment after lunch will be broken up into 2 parts. It's just 2 more presentations and then we get into the breakaway grand restaurant. And to the left, the colleagues at the front, I want to implore you to be punctual in returning so that, that as we leave, we allow the minister to leave. Went missing, but let the minister leave. Or Batembo is. Thank you very much. Colleagues, can we settle down? We move into the last session of presentations. Colleagues, the next session is a two-part session. Is not confirmed, or it's confirmed. My apologies. Go on to the presentation by on the NPO funded by DSD groups, but let us give the floor to Malambo. Okay, Ali, we'll take the presentation on the NPOs funded by DSD.
I'm not sure whether the minister is still coming to acknowledge her in her absence, but good afternoon. With my presentation, especially that you just came back from lunch, basically I'm going to be of social development. So basically the purpose, as I've indicated, the different provinces, the geographic spread, and also rendered by the NPOs. So basically in the presentation outline, I'm going to, because for these NPOs, you know that we are funding, obviously they have to be registered and be compliant with the relevant legislation. Funding, and briefly on what are the transfers and the programs and service components that's partnering with the NPOs for a number of years, and obviously they promote empowerment and they contribute to the building of healthy communities. Got more access to these communities because they exist with employment. However, although we note that the past few years have been challenging, I think we just need to acknowledge that the global recession that ended up increasing, causing a rise in the demand for social services in general. So as a result of the globe to come from the department, so due to this reduce, increase the competition amongst the NPOs for the government funding. Thirdly, on the NPO registration, as I've indicated, to say that the NPOs, that in terms of registering the NPOs, and just to indicate that not only those indicate that this is sort of a moving target, because there is registration, it's sitting at around 291,000. Just my focus, if you can. They're the most ones, that are registered, 102,000. And then if you look, at the, the overview out at 36%, of all those NPOs, followed by development and housing, which is sitting at 28%. But for the Gauteng has got the highest number of around, also inform in terms of how many of those NPO overview for funding, the DSD and also the NPO by your constitutional, your legal, your international obligations to the mandate of the department. As the previous presenter spoke about the different legislations and also other, legal and international obligations. So the nature of work, that is delivered by these NPOs, that with as social development, We do transfers area because we do have a policy that is guiding, the funding of the organization. So therefore, operating within the social services, sector to legislation, those legislation, they've got the different norms and standards and all of that. So norms and standards, whilst, the policy that I've alluded to is guiding and crucial in achieving service delivery objectives, the different sectors. And just to mention that within national, we do fund our operating at a provincial level. So the subsidized services. So maybe talk about the transfers. I think, some of the departments, they also do receive the transfers, which, get the transfers from the perspective of legislation. They are informed by the Constitution, as I've indicated, that the PAJA, which is a Promotion of Administrative Justice Act, because when profit organization, the public finance management, these transfers should be undertaken. So looking at the PFMA, I just wanted, to highlight basically what are transfers in terms of the PFMA. So what is the primary purpose? Is to assist, these organizations or entities to be able to provide to assist them with the furtherance of these in terms of how do we, process this policy that is guiding us in terms of what are the contract with an organization. We fund it through program funding. It's those NPOs that are providing services or programs that are ongoing in nature, by looking at the per capita of funding, beneficiary funding, social work post, a community development practitioner post, a child and youth care worker post. Projects are for, a specific cause or a specific project, which enables, an organization. Maybe if they need to purchase a vehicle that will assist them, the entity can share the cost together. Components are considered for funding. Basically, I've just out 4 budget programs, your program 2 and program 5, which is integrated community. Under program 2, and I think as the speaker has alluded to the different programs, program 2, which is your social welfare, it's covering services to older persons, care services, and the list goes on, where we render social work and prevention programs to empower or improve their coping mechanisms in terms of their independence, their wealth, which is care and services to families. So some of the empowering and preserving the families to ensure and protection services for safeguarding the well-being of the children. And then in terms of program 4, which is subdivided, Ms. Mahango has also touched on some of the crime prevention and early intervention, and also community engagements. We fund organizations that are affected by crime and also GBV, with a special focus on the most vulnerable. Also we fund organizations for the provision of short-term provision of services to address the for example, your inpatient, your outpatient treatment. We fund organizations so as for them to be able to run mobilization programs, institutional capacity building, and support. The bulk of the NPOs, the national department will also fund the 2 councils, which is you have got a responsibility, because there's an element really need to address the social aspects, that are driving the HIV and AIDS, and in furtherance of the mandate of the council, because the social service professionals are those employed within social development, and they fall within the mandate of department. It's not a big number, but it's mainly that providing your capacity building, your mentoring, your oversight, and also a number of years that we have been funding organizations because at that time we were also funding even the social development at the time. And then after the move of the ECDs to the Department of Education, that's where like your cooperatives and all of that. So that number has reduced now because Gauteng is the one which has got a higher number of NPOs that we fund, followed by your Western Cape and all of that. So that is basically how, the NPOs are funded within social development. So I think despite, the substantial investment, that is made by the department in terms of the number of NPOs that are funded, I think as ensuring that we reach the most vulnerable, hence we need to address that. And we really need to look at the other range of funding options that are going to assist us in terms of social development, and to take note of the programs that are funded, the allocations for these organizations, and also
in drilling down in the various Malombo, who's the for registration at the South African Council for Social Service Professions.
Program Director, I ask this question. Are all these departments that have presented registered? By show of hand, it seems as if we've got a problem. Nonetheless, allow me to observe the already established protocol to say good afternoon. I met with the previous speaker to say presenting after shorten our presentation as we've got 21 slides prepared for this session. Yes, but we are of view. Oh, before I go deeper, colleagues, my name is Octavia Malombo. I am the registrations manager at SACSSP. Let us also tend the apology for our registrar. He is engaged in another commitment that he could not divorce himself from. Hence, we are delegated to come and represent SACSSP as a regulatory body. Colleagues, we would like to use this opportunity and appreciate the invitation, because for us, it gives us an opportunity to heighten the awareness of SACSSP as a regulatory body to its constituency, being the social service professionals. In this space, we are talking about the child youth care workers and the social workers. At this moment, SACSSP is regulating these two categories. I am talking to the previous presentations where we saw there was also another category of community development practitioners. We are not yet at the stage of regulating that category. We are still in the process of professionalizing the sector of CDP. Can we move the slide? Yes. The vision of SACSSP is social service excellence. The mission thereof is to regulate the social service professions in the best interest of the South African society. I want to believe that at this point, delegates here understand what do we mean by regulatory authority. But it is then important to discuss or to just present this slide that is here in front of you. Colleagues, this year we are celebrating 25 years as SACSSP, as the regulatory body for social professions in a democratic South Africa. That's a milestone for SACSSP colleagues. A round of an applause. Moving forward, we are under the 5th administration of a council. We are having, council is operating in yearly, sorry for that, let me rephrase that. We are under the 5th administration. We are under the 5th council of SACSSP. Our governing structure falls under the 5th council, where a new president has been elected, the new council members and new members of all these other structures as mandated by the Act. I thought the information is coming that side, but it is not. Thank you, here it goes. This is the 5th council. The period is 2022 to 2027. Currently, the administration lasts for 5 years. Then after 5 years, we have to go back and elect members to form the new council structures. This slide talks more to why do we regulate, or why do we call ourselves a regulatory body. We are a regulatory body because we are saying it is a statutory legal requirement that the person who practices a specific profession must be registered, which means have to have a license to practice with a competent authority prior to practicing that profession. Hence, we are there to regulate the body. We are also saying it is the why are we regulating? The most common principle that determines the requirement to regulate the profession is the need to protect the public. Our regulatory mandate is derived from the Constitution and profession, which reads thus: every citizen has the right to choose their trade, occupation, or profession. Professions Act 110 of 1978. Then Section 2 of it has established SACSSP as a juristic person, saying we are a regulatory body. If we look at the principle that in my introduction, that currently we are not regulating community development practitioners. We have 2 boards that have the student social auxiliary workers, the professional board responsible for child youth care work. It's responsible for child and youth care workers, auxiliary child and youth care workers, student child and youth care workers, and student auxiliary mandate of SACSSP. Why a regulatory body? We have this division is responsible to ensure that requirements to register SACSSP Secretariat. We are also keeping the registered issuing of removal, issuing of status reports is the education, training, and development. This division is responsible for the continuing professional development of SACSSP is responsible for determining and maintaining conduct. It also inquires into the alleged unprofessional or improper conduct. I think council. So we've got the 5th South African Council for Social Service Secretariat. This is where we belong. As I'm standing here, I belong the structure and know who is SACSSP. Can you move? As per the regulations and the Act, are being mandated with certain functions to ensure that Secretariat is executing or is by law and through an Act of Parliament. Council and its professional boards derive their authority. SSP. Can we have another slide? Are we duly registered as SA or as SSPs? Registered social auxiliary workers. In the child and youth care, we've got 475 professional level. We've got 24,504 for SSPs. It's 69,500. The following slide will talk to students of the same categories. Students, child and youth care workers. These students are studying to what workers? We've got 4,653 student auxiliary child and youth care workers studying on the level. It brings the total number of the students registered to 23,548. Of the true spirit of our work in the regulations of the professions to ensure the best
for the session that you have been waiting for. Provide a context. We're now going to get into the core of what we are here to do. Donate a rapporteur, who the rapporteur can and the activities or complete the template, and the facilitator will facilitate the discussion based on all of the inputs that we received, starting from the minister, from the colleagues, and all the other inputs from the various departments. What I will do now is to determine the groups, and the way we're going to determine the group, earlier I said we are not jealous people. Now I'm saying for the purpose of a group, you will keep that number. So, Mr. Meeting. Is that true? I covered you. Both of them making two will remain in this venue. All the ones will remain in this venue. All the two will go to Ash. All those in work stream 4 will go to Palm, and all those in work stream 5 is ready. Okay, so you may want to amend it, you may want to add, and you have that liberty. But let me ask Patembo to
number sorted out. We've got a theme. Work stream 1 with mapping of the current situation, the current baseline as it is. The comprehensive SSP post-inventory, developing having recommendations developed for their placement strategies, and identifying key stakeholders that are going to assist with this. But in dealing with, we want you to prioritize which areas. For work stream 2 is the funding work stream, BI and BBT, you know. We're talking about developing funding mechanisms, the allocation and distribution of SSP profession, identifying key stakeholders that are going to help us to assist to secure the funding. Again, similarly, those are the 4 outputs and the funding issues that we need to be dealing with around SSPs. This is work stream 2, it's going to ELM. Work stream 3, issue that is brought all of us here, and I think we've heard extensively. 1, developing a recruitment mechanism. Developing and establishing support mechanisms. 4, evaluating and adapting our training and recruitment, looking at a multi-stakeholder approach, colleagues. Our recruitment model is prescribing. So we're asking here for your and how we retain them. We need to make SSPs, and we've been talking about stakeholder engagement, identifying stakeholders previously. We're talking about training, we're talking about skilling, we're talking about enabling the profession for it to. You see, the room is Ash. All the colleagues, the bigger rooms are all at the back, but you'll be shown the work stream 3 goes to Ash, and now press. Before I pass, colleagues, can I just say, for the funding work stream, all of the colleagues a finance element. I ideally would wish to the numbers skew too badly, just to inform the discussions. There's also 2 colleagues from HR stream and the other to the training work stream. What we'll do is we'll come groups once you've settled down based on that would have been chosen. But I'm just asking for to take part in the funding model, and we'll see how we rebalance you. This is about the support, the supervision, and the mentoring of SSPs. We're looking here at how do we mentorship program, how do we also ensure access to necessary resources, and linking this. as we develop this profession broadly, how do we ensure that those who are already inside the profession and the Matlogonolo, I know she was somewhere there. Mama Matlogonolo will be leading that one. It's at Palm. Which is M&E. I'm not going to ask the M&E. Essentially, we need to develop a comprehensive M&E framework. Evaluation and ensuring quality of life within this career. How does that improve the system? How does the improvement go back again? And dancing as I'm doing this. So we're looking for a feedback based on concrete, actionable evaluation results. The 5 work streams, colleagues. There's a team. Goodness, you see this thing of BBT. And this is again, colleagues, is a guide. 1, look at the objective, the main objective, which and then list activities that need to be included under each of the sub-objectives. And you list activities for each of the sub-objectives. In determining these objectives and these activities, and create a prioritization. So you've got sub-objectives, the 4 of them. You've listed activities. You've said the performance management framework, and you're creating a virtual cycle of learning. You are based on your activities, based on your discussions. So that we'll come up with a roadmap going from the actions on the sub-objectives to the main objective. Do we have any questions, colleagues? The reporting format. And basically it's work stream, the list of activities, the list of stakeholders that you've identified, any budget that might be required to ensure that this gets done, the original template. So yeah, that is the reporting tool. We'll walk around and tool some more when we are there sharing the USB, the template with you. Thank you very much. Can I ask that the group leads that we've identified please stand up so that the groups know? Sis Noblali? This is Noblali for group 2. Group 3, Auskalibu, where are you? There's Auskalibu, I see you. There's group 4 at the back. For group 5, Sis Amanda. Can you please stand up for group 5? When we've got a group lead, we'll then identify them for reporting purposes. So group 5 will follow Sis Amanda. There. Okay, colleagues, group 5, Dr. Mulaudzi at the corner there next to Auskalibu. Please follow him. He's the gentleman with a nice, crisp white shirt. Okay. Group leads, leaders. She's already leaving the gate, the door. You must tell. It's late, Mjana. I think they are no longer listening to me. I don't think they are listening to me anymore. Colleagues, sorry, my apologies. A very important final announcement. To the group leads, we are here until 4:30.